I'm Malcolm McGrath, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about spray painting. The purpose of spray painting is to get a nice finish. The paint protects the door. If it's done properly, you want to get it sealed all the way around. You want to get an even coat into all the little corners and things. Ideally, if you get a good spray paint finish, it'll be glassy smooth. It's to get it really smooth. The trick of getting it smooth is what is called surface tension. I'm going to explain a little bit about that because it's important. So surface tension is a natural tendency of liquids, water, and I suppose other ones like paint, to grip together. The molecules on the surface will bond together and form a complete surface. So that's what happens, when you have like a puddle. It will, on its own, go flat. That is the surface tension, which makes it flat. Now, the interesting thing about surface tension is that the surface tension, like on a bubble, will hold the water in the glass even if I pour it higher than the top of the glass. So I can do this, and it will actually, if you see, like the top of a bubble, I can actually raise the water higher than the top of the glass because of the surface tension, because the molecules on top bond to each other and will form like almost a dome on top of the glass. Surface tension will pull it flat. Surface tension is also when you do a belly flop off a diving board, that's what causes the smack. If you break the surface tension, it doesn't hurt. That's why on practice high diving towers, they actually have a bubbler under the tower, and the bubbles actually break the surface tension, and you can do a belly flop off those and it won't hurt. So surface tension is really crucial. Now, why is surface tension important for spraying? Because that is what is going to give us our smooth surface. The trick in getting a smooth surface is to get the surface tension to pull the paint into a smooth surface all the way around. And that's what we're trying to get. Now, if you have a big puddle, you automatically get good surface tension. The problem with getting enough paint on to do a big puddle is obviously if you are painting on an angle, it's going to drip all over the place. So the challenge with any kind of paint is to get enough paint on that it will do what's called leveling, that the surface tension will pull it smooth, but that the paint is sticky enough that it's not going to pour all over the place. So in house paint, what they do, for example, if you're just painting walls, they make it very, very thick. And the thickness is kind of like glue and it sticks to the wall. The problem with making it thick is that it's hard for the surface tension to level when it's a really thick paint. So what you end up with house paint, and you put it on with a brush, is you end up with brush marks. That's why with house paint, you've got to do 3 or 4 coats to get a nice even coat, because they make it thick enough to stick, it doesn't level properly, and you don't get that kind of flat surface. The way you get around that with spraying is you want to break the paint up into tiny, tiny, tiny little droplets, and what happens is each of those little droplets will bond together. So you have a thin enough layer that it won't run all over the place, but it's spread evenly enough that it will actually pull together like the surface of this glass, like the surface of a pond. The trick is to get it as thin as possible, but still have an even enough coat that the molecules will pull together with the surface tension. Now, spraying does that by breaking the paint up into tiny little droplets. However, to break it into tiny little droplets, you can't just use like a little squirt bottle, because watch this. I mean, just this little squirt bottle, the droplets are too big. So we would have to spray too much liquid on here. You see how much I'm spraying? Even just with water, how much I'm having to spray on there to get it to actually create a flat surface. This is what I'm trying to achieve. Look at how much liquid I have to spray on there. Okay, that's no good. It just makes a mess. So what a sprayer does is it breaks up the paint into tiny, tiny little droplets so that the surface tension will pull them together. Now it takes a few minutes for this to really level out. Because it broke the paint into tiny, tiny little droplets, as those tiny little droplets bond together, the surface tension is pulling the paint into a flat surface. It works better when you combine surface tension with gravity. While it is possible to spray things upright, the surface tension works better. Not only the surface tension pulling this into a flat sheet, but you have the force of gravity pulling it down. And that's why, as much as possible, we always spray things flat. Try and spray things flat and then assemble them later, because it's much easier to get a smooth surface if you have surface tension and gravity working together.